My name is Rachel Williams and I'm 37 years old. 3 hours ago, I was sipping champagne in my penthouse, celebrating another successful quarter for my tech empire. Then my doorman called with news that made my blood freeze. Ms. Williams, there are 3 people here claiming to be your family. 20 years. 20 goddamn years since they threw me out like garbage, and now they're standing in my marble lobby with tears streaming down their faces. Through the security monitor, I watched my mother clutch a crumpled newspaper clipping, the Forbes article that declared me self-made billionaire of the year. My father stood beside her, hat in hand like some broken-down beggar. And my sister? She was actually sobbing. I almost laughed. These were the same people who told me I'd die in a gutter before 30. The same family who made bets on how long I'd survive after they kicked me out at 17 with nothing but a trash bag of clothes. Should I send them up, Ms. Williams? My doorman asked through the intercom. I stared at their pathetic faces on the screen, remembering every cruel word, every humiliation, every night I went to bed hungry while building my company from nothing. My finger hovered over the button that would either grant them access or seal their fate forever. Yes, I whispered, my voice steadier than my racing heart. Send them up. It's time they learned what real failure looks like. As the elevator climbed to my penthouse, memories crashed over me like waves against broken glass. I was 17 again, standing in our cramped kitchen while Mama counted out her grocery money with hands that shook from exhaustion. Rachel, baby, I need you to understand something, she'd said that December morning. You can't keep living here thinking you're gonna be some big shot. You dropped out of college, can't hold down a job at McDonald's for more than 3 weeks. You're embarrassing this family. I'd been coding in my bedroom every night until 4 a.m., teaching myself programming languages from library books while working double shifts to help with bills. But she never saw that. None of them did. Mama, I'm building something, I'd pleaded. Give me time. I know I can make this work. Daddy had walked in then, still wearing his factory uniform, grease-stained and tired. He looked at me with such disappointment that it cut deeper than any knife could. Baby girl, dreams don't pay rent. Your sister's got her nursing degree, making something of herself. But you're 20,000 in debt, no job, chasing fantasies. We can't keep enabling this foolishness. The elevator dinged, pulling me back to the present. They were here. The people who destroyed my self-worth were about to walk into a home worth more than their entire neighborhood. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The penthouse doors opened and they stepped into my world like tourists in a museum. Mama's eyes went wide as she took in the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. Daddy actually stumbled, catching himself against my imported Italian marble table. My sister Kira just stood there with her mouth hanging open. Jesus Christ, Rachel, Kira whispered. This place is worth $50 million, I finished for her, my voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Funny thing about money, it has a way of changing how people see you. Mama stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks. Baby, we've been trying to reach you for months. Ever since the magazine came out, we've been so proud. I interrupted. Now you're proud? Where was that pride when you told the entire family I was probably dead in some alley, overdosed on drugs I never even touched? The color drained from Daddy's face. Rachel, honey, we never said. Don't you dare lie to me. My voice echoed off the walls. Cousin Evan told me everything. How you took bets at Thanksgiving about whether I'd make it to 25. How you told people I was a cautionary tale about spoiled children with unrealistic dreams. Kira tried to speak, but I wasn't finished. 20 years of silence had built up like pressure in a dam, and now the floodgates were open. Do you want to know what failure really looks like? Failure, I continued, walking toward the massive portrait dominating my living room wall. The Forbes cover featuring my face. Looks like a 17-year-old girl sleeping in her car in December because her own family threw her out 2 days before Christmas. Mama gasped. We never knew you were. Living in a 1995 Honda Civic with a broken heater? Washing my hair in gas station bathrooms? Working 3 jobs just to afford ramen noodles for dinner. I turned to face them, letting them see the steel in my eyes. Of course you didn't know. You never bothered to check if I was even alive. Daddy took a shaky step forward. Princess, we thought you'd come back when you got hungry enough. We were trying to teach you responsibility. Responsibility. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about responsibility? Let me show you something. I walked to my desk and pulled out a thick folder. Every rejection letter, every eviction notice, every bill I couldn't pay during those first brutal years. This is responsibility. Applying to 234 jobs in 6 months. Getting turned down by every bank in the city for a business loan. Working construction during the day and coding all night until my fingers bled. Kira wiped her eyes. We didn't know it was that bad. But you hoped it would be, I said quietly. Remember what you told me the day I left. At least we know which child was the mistake. The words hung in the air like poison. I kept every newspaper clipping, I continued, my voice growing stronger. Every family gathering where I wasn't invited, every holiday card that never came. Do you know what I did every Christmas for 15 years? I sent you cards. Birthday presents. I called on Mother's Day, Father's Day, your anniversaries. I walked to another cabinet and pulled out a box filled with returned mail, all marked return to sender in Mama's handwriting. Every single one came back. Unopened. Even when I started making real money, when my first company sold for $12 million, I tried to reach out. But you'd already decided I was dead to you. Mama was sobbing now, ugly tears that left mascara streaks down her cheeks. We were hurt, baby. When you left, we thought you didn't love us anymore. I left. The words exploded out of me. You kicked me out. You literally put my belongings in garbage bags and told me never to come back. Daddy's voice was barely a whisper. We thought tough love would make you come to your senses. Well, it did. I picked up my phone, finger hovering over the security contact. It taught me that blood doesn't make family. Love does. Respect does. Support does. And you gave me none of those things when I needed them most. Please, Rachel, Kira begged. We're sorry. We made mistakes, but we're here now. We want to make things right. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I'd missed before. Desperation. Why now? I asked, setting my phone down but keeping it within reach. After 20 years of silence, why show up at my door with tears in your eyes? What changed besides the number in my bank account? The three of them exchanged glances, the kind of look people share when they're caught in a lie. That's when I noticed details I'd missed before. Daddy's clothes were too clean, like he'd dressed up for something important. Mama's purse was clutched too tightly. Kira's wedding ring was missing. The house, Mama whispered finally. We're about to lose the house. There was the truth, naked and ugly, hanging between us like a noose. How much? I asked, my voice deadly calm. Daddy cleared his throat. The bank says we need $80,000 by the end of the month, or you're homeless. Like you made me. I nodded slowly. Now I understand. This isn't about love or family or regret. This is about money. You need something from the failure, the mistake, the disappointment who was supposed to die in a gutter. That's not fair, Kira protested. We really are sorry about. Sorry. I interrupted. Let me tell you what sorry looks like. Sorry looks like checking on your child when they're living in their car. Sorry looks like not telling extended family that your own daughter is probably dead from a drug overdose. Sorry looks like answering the phone when they call crying because they haven't eaten in 3 days. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of my air conditioning system. Do you want to know what my rock bottom looked like? I asked, walking to the window that overlooked the city. January 15th, 12 years ago. I was in the emergency room with pneumonia because I'd been sleeping in my car for 3 months straight. The nurse asked for my emergency contact and I realized I didn't have one. My own family had disowned me so completely that if I died, nobody would even claim my body. Mama made a wounded sound, but I wasn't finished. That night, lying in that hospital bed, I made a promise to myself. I would succeed not because of you, but in spite of you. Every line of code I wrote, every 18-hour day I worked, every rejection I powered through, it was fuel from the fire you lit under me. I turned back to face them. And now you want to benefit from the success you tried so hard to prevent. Daddy stepped forward, his voice breaking. Princess, we know we failed you. But we're family. Family forgives. Family. I laughed bitterly. When I made my first million, where was my family? When Forbes called me an innovator changing the tech industry, where were the congratulations? When I donated $10 million to local schools, where was the pride? You only showed up when you needed something from me. Kira tried a different approach. Rachel, we were wrong. We were so wrong. But losing the house. Mama and Daddy don't have anywhere else to go. I'm going through a divorce, lost my job. We're desperate. I studied her face, remembering the girl who used to call me stupid, worthless, a waste of space. Desperate, I repeated softly. You want to know what desperate feels like? I asked, my voice quiet but dangerous. Desperate is applying for food stamps and being denied because you're too proud to admit you're homeless. Desperate is washing dishes in a restaurant bathroom because you can't afford a gym membership for showers. Desperate is watching other families celebrate Christmas through store windows because you're too ashamed to show your face anywhere people might know you. I walked closer to them, close enough to see the fear in their eyes. Desperate is calling your mother on her birthday and having her hang up without a word. Desperate is sending your father a Father's Day card every year for a decade and never getting one back. Desperate is finding out your sister got married through Facebook because your own family didn't think you deserved an invitation. Mama reached for me. Baby, please. Don't touch me. My voice cut through the air like ice. You lost that right the day you threw me out like trash. I walked to my desk and pulled out a checkbook, watching their eyes light up with hope. Then I set it aside and picked up my phone instead. I'm going to give you exactly what you gave me when I needed help, I said, dialing security. Nothing. Rachel, no. Kira screamed. Please, we'll do anything. We'll get down on our knees, we'll. You should have gotten on your knees 20 years ago, I replied, waiting for security to answer. When I was begging you not to throw away your own child. The phone connected. Security, this is Ms. Williams. I have 3 trespassers in my penthouse who need to be escorted out immediately. Please don't do this, Daddy whispered, his voice broken. I know I was wrong. I know I failed you as a father. But please don't let us lose everything. For a moment, just a moment, I hesitated. This man had taught me to ride a bike, had carried me on his shoulders at the county fair, had once been my hero. But then I remembered his words at that last family gathering. This one will never amount to anything. She can't even keep a job at McDonald's. You already lost everything that mattered, I said quietly. You lost your daughter. The rest is just stuff. The elevator dinged. Security was coming. Mama fell to her knees, actually fell to her knees on my marble floor. I'll do anything, Rachel. Anything. I'll admit to everyone that I was wrong. I'll tell them how we treated you. Just please, please help us. Where was this humility when I needed it? I asked, looking down at her. Where was this desperation to make things right when I was the one begging? 2 security guards entered my penthouse, their faces professional but concerned. They'd worked for me for 3 years and had never seen me like this. Ma'am, the taller one said, is everything all right? I looked at my biological family one last time. Mama still on her knees, Daddy with tears streaming down his weathered face, Kira clutching that Forbes article like it was a winning lottery ticket. These people, I said clearly, are not welcome in my home. They are trespassers who have been asked to leave and refused. Please escort them out. No. Kira shrieked. You can't do this. We're your family. Family. I repeated, my voice steady as stone. Let me tell you what family looks like. Family is Isaiah, my homeless mentor who shared his last can of soup with me when I was starving. Family is Mrs. Garcia, who let me sleep in her restaurant's back room when I had nowhere else to go. Family is Elijah, who gave me my first real job when no one else would take a chance on me. The security guards moved toward my biological relatives, but I held up a hand. Those people showed me more love and support in my darkest hours than you showed me in 17 years of living under your roof. They celebrated my successes, comforted me through failures, and never asked for anything in return except that I pay it forward. I walked to my safe and pulled out 3 envelopes, each containing more money than they'd ever seen in their lives. This is what I'm going to do, I announced. $40,000 to Mrs. Garcia's community center. $30,000 to Isaiah's homeless shelter. $10,000 to Elijah's kids' college funds. I handed the envelopes to the security guards. Make sure these get delivered tomorrow. And let them know it's from someone who understands the difference between real family and DNA. Mama was still on her knees, staring at me with horror. You're giving away our money? Your money. I laughed. Sweetheart, you haven't contributed a single dime to my success. This is money earned by the failure you threw away, the disappointment you disowned, the mistake you couldn't wait to get rid of. Daddy tried one last appeal. Princess, I know you're angry. I'm not angry, I said and meant it. Anger would mean I still cared enough to hate you. I don't. You're just strangers who share my genetics. The security guard stepped forward, but I wasn't done yet. 20 years of silence had to be broken properly. Before you go, I said, my voice carrying the weight of every sleepless night, every hungry day, every moment of despair they'd caused, I want you to understand something. I didn't succeed despite being your daughter. I succeeded despite being your victim. I walked to my awards wall. Tech Innovator of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Decade, Humanitarian Awards for my foundation work. Every single one of these represents a moment when I chose to prove you wrong instead of proving you right. When I chose to build instead of break. When I chose to give back instead of seek revenge. I turned to face them one final time. The saddest part? I would have shared all of this with you. If you just answered one phone call, returned one letter, shown one moment of genuine care or remorse. But you couldn't even do that. Mama tried to speak, but I wasn't listening anymore. I'd said everything that needed saying. Gentlemen, I addressed the security guards, please escort these individuals out of my building. They are not to be admitted again under any circumstances. If they return, call the police. Rachel. Kira screamed as they were led toward the elevator. This isn't over. You can't just abandon your family. I smiled, then really smiled for the first time in hours. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm simply returning the favor. The elevator doors closed and they were gone. Silence filled my penthouse like water filling a broken vessel. For the first time in 20 years, I was completely, utterly alone with the ghosts of my past, and they were finally quiet. I poured myself a glass of wine and stood at my window, looking out at the city that had both broken me and remade me. My phone buzzed with notifications. Somehow word was already spreading. Isaiah had texted, heard some family drama went down. You okay, kiddo? I smiled, typing back, better than okay. Finally free. Mrs. Garcia had sent a photo of the children at her community center with a message. These babies say thank you for the new playground equipment. You are family to all of us. Elijah's text made me laugh out loud. My kids are calling you Auntie Rachel now. Hope that's cool with you. This was what real family looked like. Not DNA or obligation or guilt, but choice. Love freely given and genuinely felt. Support that didn't come with conditions or expiration dates. I opened my laptop and began typing. Not code this time, but something more personal. A blog post titled The Family You Choose versus The Family You're Born With. Within an hour it had 10,000 views. Within a day it would have 1 million. My story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to every person who'd ever been told they weren't good enough. Every dreamer dismissed by the people who should have believed in them most. The girl who'd been thrown away had become the woman who chose to rise. 6 months later I stood in the same penthouse, but everything had changed. The walls now held pictures of my real family. Isaiah at his shelter's grand reopening, Mrs. Garcia's grandchildren at their graduation, Elijah's kids at their first day of college. My phone rang. It was an unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Home. I let it go to voicemail. An hour later I listened to the message. Mama's voice, broken and small. Rachel, honey, we lost the house. We're staying at a shelter downtown now. I know you don't want to hear from us, but I wanted you to know I finally understand. I understand what we put you through. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. For a moment I felt the old pain try to resurface. Then I deleted the message. Some bridges once burned were never meant to be rebuilt. Some relationships were toxic at their core, no matter how much time passed or how much both parties changed. And that was okay. My real family was having dinner downstairs in the restaurant I'd bought for Mrs. Garcia. Isaiah was celebrating his first year as the shelter's official director. Elijah's oldest had just been accepted to MIT with a full scholarship. These were the people who'd seen me at my lowest and loved me anyway. Who'd celebrated my victories without asking for a piece of them. Who'd chosen me and whom I'd chosen in return. I locked my penthouse door and headed downstairs to join them. Behind me, the Forbes cover caught the setting sun's light, but I didn't look back. The girl they'd called a failure was finally, completely home. The million-dollar question. If you were in Rachel's shoes, would you have walked away too or found a way to forgive? I want to hear about your own experiences in the comments below. And if these stories of people choosing themselves hit different, subscribe for more content that'll have you questioning everything.